The annual Joburg Film Festival runs from the 3rd of March to the 8th of March this year. The festival will present an extraordinary selection of films that beautifully meld African storytelling with the cutting edge of global cinema. So included in this festival, they have 60 curated films, 40 fiction features, 80 non-fiction features, and an impressive 65 short films. And that's amongst the 9 creative student works lineup as well. So to share a little bit more about this year, we're actually going to be joined by festival curator Nhlanhla Ndaba. Nhlanhla, good morning. Congrats for this 2026 edition, and thank you for joining us at this hour.
Thank you so much for having us on your show.
We're growing from strength to strength with the Joburg Film Festival. It's becoming that premier destination to market what is on offer. So tell us about this edition, the changes perhaps that this has been made to this year's lineup. Take us through that.
I mean, this year was really, we challenged ourselves as much as we want to challenge the audience. And I wouldn't really call it a change, but more of an addition. We've traditionally been a festival that sort of like curates the films. So in other words, we went out there to find the films that will work for the festival. But this year we decided to do things slightly differently by having a national call out. And this is where we were targeting specifically African films and South African films and filmmakers to basically submit their films to the festival. And as a result of that, we had about close to 800 films that were submitted. That includes the 80-odd films that we received from our usual distributors that we work with on an international stage. And, we then employed 4 amazing readers to come through to assist us in order to be able to give each film a fair chance, at being viewed, at being judged, and having an opportunity to be showcased at our festival.
Well, Nhlanhla, so then if we look at the theme, that overarching theme that encompasses the focus of the films, the screens this year, tell us a little bit more about that. Why am I asking this? Because opening night, the screening of that obviously is one of the big talkers, and laundry takes center stage this year. So tell us a little bit more about that synopsis as well.
Sure. I mean, the theme of our festival for this year is Fill the Frame. And this is more than just, about watching films. We are actually inviting the audiences to immerse themselves in the feelings, emotionally in what is going to be on the screens. So, we are asking audiences to challenge themselves to come through. I mean, a film festival, to begin with, is a space where you curate films that would not necessarily be seen, on national platforms. So, already that is challenging to the viewers. And we're saying to our audiences, come through and immerse yourselves in these works, and also go beyond just watching, feel the emotion, feel the sound, get uncomfortable with those frames in those pictures, in those films, the long gaze, the wrenching earth, the scorching sun. Be there, be present, and really begin to experience cinema how it's intended to be experienced. And we were really fortunate to get to be the South African premiere of the film Laundry, which was directed by Zama Mkhwanazi. And this is an amazing film that looks at legacy, that looks at issues around, the personal versus the family. We look at a young man here by the name of Kutula, who's our protagonist in this particular film, who's torn between following his dreams and of being a musician, or fighting to protect the family business and the family livelihood. And all of this happens in 1960 Johannesburg. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of hostility, from apartheid and all of that. But the most interesting part for me about this film was that, you learn new things as you're watching your films. And I wasn't aware that there were Black people at the time who ran these businesses that were thriving, and also who kind of had special privileges. I mean, this business is set in a previously white-only neighborhood, and then the government is beginning to basically clamp down on such businesses. And unfortunately, the son has to take the baton, so to speak, and try to follow his dreams while he does that.
Well, the laundry opening the festival and the trek closing the festival as well, just encompassing that overarching theme that you've spoken about. And this obviously is in relation to the broader creative industry at large, the creative economy as well. Tell us a little bit more about, the initiatives where the festival helps to support the industry. I mean, just a month ago, we saw the creative industry taking to the streets, save the arts, save the film industry as well. That ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, that ecosystem is really, really important. Without that DTIC incentive, we're facing a really dire situation when it comes to the creative economy. I'll give you an example. I got an opportunity to do a few Netflix films, and that rebate made up 50% of our budget. So without that rebate, there would be no ability for filmmakers to be able to make films. To be able to put stuff on your screen that is entertaining, that is challenging, that is informative. So it's really, really important that we're able, to look and interrogate, things that are happening within this sector. And I mean. The idea of this incentive is that it allows South African producers to be able to attract investment, and without that investment, we're really in for a really, really, really tough time. So the festival actually has platforms such as JBX Talks, which actually brings through all of these bodies into one space, so that we can actually have a conversation around these things. We have a program titled Assessing the Value of South African Film and TV Incentive Program, and that will be on the 4th of March at Sandton Convention Center as part of the JBX Talks. And the idea around this is that we bring various people into the room so we can actually discuss this. It's all good and well, and for us to go on the streets and to march and to hand over a memorandum to some random person, we don't know if they're going to read it, we don't know what's going to come of it. But in this particular space, we're bringing people into the room so that they can be accountable,
Yes.
and answer questions by the film practitioners.
And in Nhlanhla, it's also about action that follows the talks as well. Thank you for speaking to the aspects about the workshop and the program as well, particularly for aspiring filmmakers that can, obviously benefit greatly when it comes to that skills impartation as well. Collaborations are important, partnerships are important, mentorship is also important. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that, only because we're obviously seeing the evolution of the industry, and so we're looking at trends, filmmaking trends that have come to the fore. What excites you the most about those aspects as well as we wrap up?
I mean, look, South African or just African stories are really exciting at this point in time. The Americans we've seen, they're just busy recycling old narratives, and we have fresh stories that we want to tell the world. I had a discussion with an international producer who was saying that they're funding a few South African films, and that he is quite amazed, and he is looking forward to the shock that Hollywood is going to have because of the stories that are coming out of Africa. Fresh stories. We know that we've always been a people that tell stories. Whether it was in the olden days with your grandmother under the tree next to a fire. And those stories are beginning to be nourished. They're beginning to take shape and form, and they're going to influence the industry in a big way. So, it's very exciting for me as a curator to see all of this happening and unfolding, in real time. I mean, we can only hope for the best.
Well, that obviously comes to the culmination come the 3rd of March. Wishing you all the best of luck. Thank you for joining us at the Nhlanhla Ndaba Joburg Film Festival curator, chatting about what will be featured and celebrated at local cinema, happening all the week of the 3rd to the 8th of March. Let's leave it there.